subjects, take your seats. I'm visiting you from the past. It is 1849, Gold Rush, San Francisco. I am Joshua Norton. I understand today is International Pronoun Day. You may refer to me as Your Majesty. I arrived here in this fair city in November of 1849 from the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa, carrying with me some money that I had inherited from my father, and I did not get my hands dirty digging gold. I sold things to gold miners. That's how you really make money during the gold rush. One of the things I sold was rice. And my timing was good because there was a severe rice famine happening in China where we obtained much of our rice. Rice at the time, before the famine, was 4 cents a pound. But because of the rice shortage in China, the price was projected to go up to 12 cents a pound. I had a lead on some rice in a warehouse, which was offered to me at this low price of 4 cents a pound. So I spent $12,000, nearly my entire fortune, and purchased all of this rice, thinking the speculation was that it would go up 3 times to 36 cents a pound. I was going to be rich. This is worth something like $600,000 in your dollars now. But you know what happened? Tragedy struck. Right as I was about to begin to sell my rice, 4 ships from Peru came into San Francisco Harbor, all filled with hundreds of thousands of pounds of rice. The market was glutted, and the price dropped down to 3 cents a pound. I was ruined. So I went away for a little while. Went away for a couple of years to the small city of Petaluma up north. Perhaps you've been there. I had an idea there. I said, you should straighten out this river because you grow so many eggs up here. You could have steamer ships come from San Francisco and they would sell them in San Francisco. They took my idea later. But when I came back in 1860, I made an important declaration. I said, I went to the newspaper and I handed the editor my proclamation. And I said, at the preeminatory request of a large majority of the citizens of the United States, I, Joshua Norton, formerly of Algoa Bay, Cape of Good Hope, and now for the past 9 years and 10 months of San Francisco, California, declare and proclaim myself as Emperor of these United States. And in the virtue of the authority thereby in me vested, do hereby order and direct the representatives of the different states of the Union to assemble in the musical hall of this city on the 1st day of February next, and then and there to make such alterations in the existing laws of the Union as to may ameliorate the evils under which the country is laboring, and thereby cause confidence to exist, both at home and abroad, in our stability and integrity. I sign this declaration on the 17th of September, 1859. I was the Emperor of the United States. And San Francisco went along with me. I made multiple proclamations. I tried to ameliorate the rash of gun violence that had befallen our great city. I made declarations to protect the newly arrived immigrants into San Francisco who were being fleeced by their landlords and harassed by the authorities. I once stood in front of a gang of hoodlums in Chinatown who were gathering to harass the Chinese citizens of that part of our city. And I said the Lord's Prayer until they dissembled. Now, you might think I was a religious man, but no. The emperor needs to be friendly to all members of the empire. So some days I would go to the temple, the Jewish temple, in the faith that I was raised. Other times I would go to the Catholic Church. Other times I would go to the Episcopalian Church. I didn't want them to become jealous. Now, I was so well known around town that perhaps some of you have read that two-bit author, now calls himself Mark Twain, wrote a book called Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Allegedly, the character of the king was modeled after me, but he made him into a drunkard. I was not a drunkard. I would have no more than one drink per day, and that was usually purchased by some reporter who wanted a quote for their newspaper from the emperor. And who wouldn't want a quote from the newspaper, from the emperor? In those days, it was common that the saloons would set up a lunch counter filled with salty food because, you see, salty food makes you thirsty. That sells drinks. I would partake of these lunch counters, and if I was asked for payment, which was uncommon, because of course I was well known about town, I would pay them in these promissory notes that I issued in my empire. One of my most visionary declarations was that there should be a bridge connecting our fair city and the city of Oakland via Goat Island. You would later call it Yerba Buena. And while we're at it, we should have a train tunnel too. I reigned for 21 years in this young city of San Francisco. And when I collapsed and died at the age of 60, I was walking one rainy night to a debate in downtown San Francisco, and I collapsed at the corner of California and Grant Street and died. They found that in my boarding house where I lived for 20 years, I had all of $5 to my name, some plumaged hats, and my funeral, 10,000 people came to my funeral. I was so beloved in this city that 10,000 people visited my funeral, which was paid for by the merchants of San Francisco. I was first buried at Lone Mountain and then moved later to Colma, where I rest today. So I ask you, was I mad? Did I have a psychotic disorder? We shall discuss that. This thing's really hot.